making headlines this hour. President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Qayyum officially inaugurates the mosque and the ice plant established in Gamanafushi Island. Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture meets a Tanzanian counterpart. And cyclone barrels in the southeast coast of India, killing at least 4 people and bringing down trees and power lines as authorities moved tens of thousands of people from low-lying areas.
Good evening and welcome to Nightly News on Television Maldives with me, Fatma Sara. President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Qayyum officially inaugurates the mosque and ice plant built in Gamanafushi Island. President Yamin inaugurated the ice plant and mosque of Gamanafushi during his visit to North Huado Atoll to attend the official reception to be held on the occasion of Fisherman's Day. President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Qayyum inaugurated a Masjidul Ibrahim at North Huado Atoll, Gamanafushi Island earlier today. The mosque, which can accommodate up to 700 worshippers at a time, was initiated by Shisha Private Limited in memory of Gamanafushi Bandiyage late Ibrahim Ahmad. At the inauguration, Ahmad Hassan Manik of Shisha Private Limited presented the President with a replica of mihrab from a Masjidul Ibrahim. The President then went on to inaugurate the newly built ice plant at Gamanafushi Harbour. The 3.75 million rupiah plant, built by MIFCO via the government loan scheme, can produce up to 25 tons of ice daily. Upon the inauguration, the President also attended a fish filleting competition. During his visit to North Huado Atoll, the President also met the residents of Willingili Island this afternoon. The President is accompanied on the visit by Minister of Tourism, Musa Zamir, and Minister of Islamic Affairs, Dr. Ahmad Ziad. President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Qayyum appoints Al-Sheikh Adam Shamim and Al-Ustaz Ishaq Muhammad Ful to the Supreme Council of Fatwa. The 5-member council is comprised of 2 members appointed by the President, a judge selected by Chief Justice, a board member of the Islamic University, and a member appointed by the Ministry of Islamic Affairs. The members of the council, its President and Vice President, are appointed by the President for a 5-year term and will function under the Islamic Ministry. The Supreme Council's mandate involves ensuring religious unity, raising public awareness on religious issues, conducting forums for religious scholars, and publishing a magazine with scholarly writings on contentious issues. The Fatwa Council must also formulate rules and regulations governing the issuance of fatwas, as well as the Council's administrative functions within 6 months after the amendment are ratified by the President. The Supreme Council of Fatwa was established in April 2016. Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture Dr. Muhammad Shani meets the Tanzanian Minister of Agriculture, Natural Resources, Livestock and Fisheries, Hamad Rashid Mohammed. Minister Shani met his Tanzanian counterpart in Gamanafushi Island, who is visiting Maldives to attend the official function to mark the 36th National Fisherman's Day, which is scheduled to be held tonight. The Tanzanian minister was welcomed at Gamanafushi by Fisheries Minister, Fisheries Sector policymakers, stakeholders, as well as council members of Gamanafushi. Later on, the 2 ministers held a meeting at Gamanafushi Island Council office. During the meeting, the 2 ministers discussed on expanding fisheries and agriculture sector relations between the 2 countries. The Tanzanian minister also praised and inquired about the sustainable method of pole and line fishing practiced in the Maldives. He expressed interest in introducing the method in Tanzania and highlighted that Maldives could assist them in this endeavour. In response, Fisheries Minister Dr. Shani pledged the Maldives' support to Tanzania in introducing pole and line fishing in the country. Minister of Youth and Sports Irith Sham meets with officials from Yunnan province. Minister Irith Sham is currently in China on invitation from the Communist Party of China. The minister and her delegation attended a meeting with officials from Yunnan province, Foreign Affairs Office and the Tourism Development Committee. In this meeting, officials from Yunnan province pledged to assist Maldives in the further development of a tourism industry. Further discussions were held to increase number of Chinese tourists visiting Maldives. According to Tourism Ministry statistics, over 289,000 tourists visited Maldives during the first 10 months of this year. In her visit to China, the minister also had successful meetings with officials from the Communist Party of China. Senior members of the ruling Progressive Party of Maldives accompanied the youth minister in her visit. Anti-Corruption Commission sends the investigation report on former Managing Director of Maldives Marketing and Public Relation Corporation MMPRC, Abdullah Ziad, to the Prosecutor General's Office for Prosecution on charges of corruption. ACC investigated a case regarding the former Managing Director of MMPRC Ziad acquiring a house in Hulumale using the funds of MMPRC. According to the investigation report filed by ACC, Ziad used funds acquired from leasing Mativeri phenol of Alif et al. The report states that the company which acquired the phenol wrote 2 checks for acquisition costs for MMPRC. However, the checks never made it into an official bank account of the state or MMPRC. The ACC report says that the checks worth $700,000 were transferred to a bank account in the name of a cousin of Ziad, which was in turn used to buy the house from Hulumale in the name of a sibling of Ziad. The report further revealed that investigations were also conducted regarding accusations that Mativeri phenol of Alif et al. Was leased to a company which belonged to the owner of the particular house which Ziad bought from Hulumale. Maldives Media Council elects members for a fresh term. Home Ministry held elections for the council yesterday, where 85 media outlets casted ballots to elect members to the council. 6 members representing different media organizations and 6 independent members were elected for the council. Media representatives elected during yesterday's election includes Ahmad Rifau from We Media, Ahmad Mujtaba from Sun Media, Fayaz Yusuf from Public Service Media PSM, Abdul Mueed Hassan from Mahur Majalla, Misbah Abbas from VFP and Hassan Shakir Muhammad from Astani Mujalla. Independent candidates elected for Media Council includes Shaufa Hussain, Muhammad Azim Abdul Hadi, Anwar Ibrahim, Mariam Halil, Ahmad Abir and Asad Sharif. Meanwhile, elections were not held for posts of 2 members whose term is yet to come to an end. But seat of the Media Council was left vacant after a newly elected member, Muhammad Afzal, resigned from the post yesterday itself. Home Ministry says elections for this post will be held later. Media Council consists of 15 members. Google signs an agreement with the Cuban government granting internet users on the communist-run island quicker access to its branded content. The chairman of Google's parent company Alphabet Inc., Eric Schmidt, signed the deal with the president of the state telecommunication monopoly, Atexa Meira Arabic Marin.
In a country where public internet access is limited to slow and expensive Wi-Fi hotspots, it was not clear how the deal would actually impact service in the short term. A Google statement said this deal allows Atexa to use the technology to reduce latency by caching some of the most popular high-bandwidth content like YouTube videos at a local level. Central Director of Commerce and Marketing at Atexa, Tania Velasquez, explained that the agreement will shorten access time to Google contents on the internet, providing greater speed and quality in the service and the optimization of the capacities of the international network of Atexa to be able to deliver contents locally that demand greater bandwidth. President Barack Obama had made improved internet access a central part of his efforts to normalize relations with Cuba, first announced 2 years ago. However, Cuba to date has balked at allowing U.S. companies to participate in wiring the country, citing national security concerns. Whether because of a lack of investment or concerns about the flow of information in a state that monopolizes the media, Cuba has lagged behind in internet usage. According to a UN agency, only 3.5% of Cuban homes had either internet or internet access last year. The Google deal comes as officials in Havana and Washington are working to wrap up pending commercial accords before President Barack Obama leaves office next month. President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to scrap the tent between the Cold War foes unless Cuba makes political and other concessions. Improved bilateral relations have been accomplished through executive orders, circumventing trade embargo laws, and can easily be reversed by Trump. The Obama administration has said it hopes increased commercial links between the two countries will make it difficult for future administrations to undo the recent warming in U.S.-Cuba relations.
Looking at news from international arena, a cyclone barrels into the southeast coast of India, killing at least 4 people as authorities move tens of thousands of people from low-lying areas. The Indian Meteorological Department says that cyclone Varta moved west over the Bay of Bengal before hitting Chennai, capital of Tamil Nadu, as well as neighbouring Andhra Pradesh. They described it as a very severe storm. Strong winds of up to 140 kilometers per hour battered the densely populated coast, uprooting trees and bringing down electricity pylons. Flights at Chennai airport were cancelled, railway services in the area suspended, and schools and colleges were closed. More than 23,000 people in Tamil Nadu have been moved to relief centres, with plans for tens of thousands more to be evacuated if needed. The National Disaster Management Agency warned fishermen not to venture out to sea for the next 36 hours and urged residents to stay in safe places. Navy ships, aircrafts as well as 30 diving teams were on standby to help move people and deliver aid if needed. India's cyclone season usually runs from April to December, with storms often causing dozens of deaths, evacuations of tens of thousands of people, and widespread damage to crops and property. Turkish Deputy Prime Minister Numan Kurtulmuş says that preparations are underway for a final operation by Turkish-backed rebels on the IS-controlled city of Al-Bab in northern Syria.
The city offers strategic importance to Turkey, partly because Kurdish-dominated militias have also been trying to take it from the jihadists. Turkey-backed rebels closed in on an IS-held city in northern Syria, with Turkish tanks and warplanes supporting the assault. Turkish state media said the Ankara had sent 300 commandos to northern Syria to reinforce Euphrates Shield, the operation it launched 3.5 months ago to push both IS and Kurdish fighters back from the border. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which monitors the war through a network of sources in the country, confirmed there was an increased number of Kurdish troops with the Euphrates Shield forces. Ankara is determined to prevent the Kurdish YPG militia, which it sees as a hostile force, from joining up cantons in controls along the Turkish border, fearing that would embolden Kurdish separatism at home. Speaking at a news conference after a cabinet meeting, the Turkish Deputy Prime Minister Kurtulmuş also said that humanitarian aid shipment to Syria's Aleppo should not depend on the establishment of a ceasefire, and called on the international community to help set up an aid convoy. According to the Syrian army and its allies, they are in the final stages of recapturing Aleppo after a sudden advance that has pushed rebels to brink of collapse in a shrinking enclave. Syrian government forces clashed with rebel forces in Aleppo in video released by the Syrian army on Monday. Pro-government forces were seen firing upon insurgents in the Fardos district after taking Sheikh Said in the south and Salihin in the east. The pictures also showed rubble and heavily damaged buildings in several areas of Aleppo. The Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, backed by Russia, is now close to taking back full control of Aleppo, which was Syria's most populous city before the war and would be his greatest prize so far after nearly 6 years of conflict.
Large swaths of northern India continues to be enveloped in thick fog, resulting in delays in flights and trains. In Amritsar city, fog impaired visibility as drivers were forced to switch on headlights of their vehicles as they made their way through dense fog. People lit bonfires and wrapped themselves in woolens as the mercury plummeted. People riding bicycles also faced problems due to fog and cold weather. Train services were also affected in Kanpur city as passengers had to wait for hours for their trains. Chaos prevailed at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport as 5 international and 8 domestic flights were delayed. Reportedly, 81 trains were also delayed, 10 were rescheduled and 5 trains got cancelled due to foggy weather conditions in Delhi. South Asia's winters are not as cold as other regions such as North America, but the millions of poor are hit harder because they live in open and do not have enough warm clothes. Turkish expert in international relations Hüseyin Bagi and Turkish security expert Haldun Yalçınkaya says that the growing of Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK in war-torn Syria and its clashes with the Turkish government have resulted in the deadly attacks in Turkey. The Turkish Health Minister Recep Aktak announced on Monday that the death toll in Istanbul's twin bombings on Saturday has risen to 44. The Hurriyet Daily quoted the minister as saying that 36 police officers and 8 civilians lost their lives in the attack on Saturday night that targeted on-duty police outside a football stadium in the district of Besiktas. The Kurdistan Freedom Hawks on Sunday claimed responsibility for the attacks, which involved a car bomb and a suicide bomber. The Turkish government said the militant group is linked to the outlawed PKK. Turkey has received under 10 major deadly attacks this year, in which at least 270 people were killed. The attacks were mostly blamed on IS militants and the PKK. A new round of clashes broke out between the Turkish government and the PKK in July of 2015, and the government has been using warplanes to attack PKK targets in Syria and Iraq, resulting in the deaths of around 1,000 PKK members. According to a Turkish expert in international relations, Hüseyin Bagi, attacks by the PKK over the past year is a type of reprisal to the government. Meanwhile, Turkish security expert Haldun Yalçınkaya said the Syrian crisis has created development conditions for the People's Protection Unit's YPG, and while fighting IS in Syria, the YPG has acquired some terrorist tactics. Turkish-backed rebels of the Free Syrian Army FSA have been advancing against the IS in northern Syria as part of a military campaign dubbed the Euphrates Shield. Clashes have been breaking out between the FSA and the Kurdish-led groups including YPG. Relief services say that over 1,100 people were rescued from rubber and wooden boats in the Mediterranean under heavy thunderstorms. They also recovered 6 dead bodies during the operations. Italian Coast Guard and naval ships, a vessel from the European Union anti-smuggling mission, and private aid groups rescued the people from 7 boats in the central Mediterranean. Most of the 4,715 deaths in the Mediterranean counted by the International Organization for Migration so far this year were reported en route to Italy from Libya, where traffickers have taken advantage of lawlessness to set up profitable businesses. Those rescued will now be taken to an Italian port, where they will be moved to holding centers throughout Italy. Nuclear envoys from the US, South Korea and Japan agrees to work closely together to impose sanctions against North Korea for its nuclear missile tests. Here's more on this.
The trilateral meeting was attended by US Special Representative for North Korea Policy Joseph Wai-young, his South Korean counterpart Kim Hong-young, and Japanese counterpart Kenji Kanasugi. This is the first time the three are meeting after the United Nations Security Council imposed sanctions against North Korea in late November. The UN sanctions were imposed on November 13th, aimed at cutting North Korea's annual export revenue by a quarter in response to Pyongyang's fifth and largest nuclear test in September. Amid South Korea's political scandals and the US President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration, Yoon said that there should be no doubt as to the enduring strength and the value of the alliance.
Important domestic transition going on both in Washington and Seoul, and I'm sure, like everyone else, North Koreans are watching those transitions carefully. And so it is also opportunity for them to see what can be done for ultimate goal of peaceful denuclearization. But so far, of course, we have not seen any signs that they want to engage in meaningful way. And so for us, it is very important to impose costs on their behavior. And this is why we've done sanctions as well as other measures.
The 50-member UN Council unanimously adopted a resolution to slash North Korea's biggest export coal by about 60%, with an annual sales cap of $400.9 million. The South Korean envoy Kim said that there will be a continuous information exchange system between South Korea, the United States, and Japan in order to investigate a thorough implementation of various money blocking measures for North Korea. Meanwhile, the Japanese envoy said that North Korea could not be engaged in dialogues at this point, and the neighboring countries should cooperate to solve this issue. He said that during the meeting, the participants were able to agree to Japan, South Korea, and the US working together closely, along with China and Russia, about imposing sanctions against North Korea for its nuclear missile tests. North Korea has rejected the UN resolution as a conspiracy masterminded by the United States to deny its sovereignty.
As scientists from across the globe descend on San Francisco for the annual American Geophysical Union's fall meeting, there are concerns among the scientific community about what the administration of President-elect Donald Trump will mean for scientific research and climate change in particular.
Donald Trump, a New York businessman and former reality TV star who has never previously held public office, said during his election campaign that climate change was a hoax perpetrated by China to damage U.S. manufacturing. He said he would rip up last year's landmark global climate deal struck in Paris that was signed by Democratic President Barack Obama. AGU President Margaret Lenin said the scientific community has been left trying to read the tea leaves.
Well, I think we're all waiting to see what will happen. It's a little different than someone who has been an elected official before and has a long track record of public pronouncements on the topic. And President-elect Trump does not. So we're all in the reading the tea leaves stage.
But reports that Trump will name Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt, an ardent opponent of President Barack Obama's measures to curb climate change as head of the Environmental Protection Agency, is a choice that has enraged green activists and cheered the oil industry.
Well, in the case of his choice for the EPA, it is a person who has a history of opposing regulation. And I think that there's also the issue of how you regulate and what you regulate. And so we're very concerned about the idea of removing regulations, for example, on clean water, on clean air. President-elect Trump has said that those are key issues for him that he wants to see go forward. So we're going to have to engage in a dialogue that shows that the way that you get there certainly is by technology, but it also has to be by setting metrics and setting levels.
Trump's choice of Pruitt fits nearly with the Republican president-elect's promise to cut back EPA and free up drilling and coal mining, and signals the likely rollback of much of Obama's environmental agenda. Since becoming the top prosecutor for the major oil and gas producing state in 2011, Pruitt has launched multiple lawsuits against regulations put forward by the agency. He is now poised to lead, suing to block federal measures to reduce smog and curb toxic emissions from power plants. He is also a leading figure in illegal efforts by several states to throw out the EPA's Clean Power Plan, the centerpiece of Obama's climate change strategy that requires states to curb carbon output.
Continue in this.
And a quick look at sports. Portugal and Real Madrid forward Cristiano Ronaldo wins the Ballon d'Or award for the fourth time after claiming the European Championship and Champions League titles in 2016. Ronaldo is now one short of the record tally of 5 awards won by Barcelona's Argentina forward Lionel Messi.
For me, it's a great honor to receive my my third golden ball. The emotion is like the first one. It's the dreaming come true again. I never thought in my mind to win 4 times the golden ball. So I'm so pleased, I'm so happy. I have opportunity to thank all my teammates, the national team, Real Madrid, all the people, all the players who helped me to win this individual award, this individual trophy. So can you imagine, I feel so proud and happy.
The Ballon d'Or, which merged with FIFA World Player of the Year award for 2010 to 2015 to create the FIFA Ballon d'Or, returned to France Football magazine this year. A total of 173 journalists voted, but not national team coaches and captains, who were also polled for the FIFA award. Arsenal is drawn against Bayern Munich in the Champions League round of 16, while Barcelona will take on PSG. Defending champions Real Madrid will play Napoli, and Manchester City face League One side Monaco. Arsenal, who won their group this season for the first time since the 2011-12 campaign, will be aiming to reach the quarter-finals of the competition for the first time since 2009-2010. The Gunners meet Bayern again after facing them in the group stage last year and being dumped out at the round of 16 stage by the Germans in 2012-2013 and 2013-2014. PSG, meanwhile, won their first meeting against Barca in the quarter-finals of the 1994-95 competition, but the Catalan club won the quarter-final meeting in 2012-13 and 2014-15. The two clubs also met in the group stage in 2014, and PSG won at the Parc des Princes and Barca won at the Camp Nou. And on a lighter note, David Beckham says being a part of UNICEF is special. Beckham says he is proud that his son wants to give back at such an early stage with his new Christmas single. United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF marked its 70th anniversary with some of the world's biggest stars on Monday at the United Nations. Longtime UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador Orlando Bloom said he would love to make a documentary on the organization to help people understand the good that comes from the group.
It's a very unusual thing because considering how much UNICEF has done in the world, and yet it's hard to really grasp. It is an organization that works to save the lives of women and children, and it's first on the ground, it mobilizes communities, or it brings in leaders of communities and helps to tackle specific issues. And I've seen it time and time again, Liberia being one case with the Ebola outbreak. It was phenomenal to see.
David Beckham credits his successful soccer career for giving him a voice to raise awareness and partner with UNICEF.
I have 4 children, I love my children, I care about my children. My children are safe, they live in a safe place, in a safe house, they eat every day, they have breakfast, lunch, dinner. Children don't have that all around the world, and that's what we're trying to change. And UNICEF do so much great work on that, and to be the biggest children's organisation in the world, it's something that's so special.
During the anniversary celebrations, actress Priyanka Chopra was named a Goodwill Ambassador after serving as a national ambassador in India for 10 years. The Bollywood and now Hollywood star said philanthropy was part of her upbringing and never saw it as giving back.
It's so exciting to be extending that to the world now by becoming a global ambassador, and there's so much to be done.
The event was hosted by several youth, including actress Millie Bobby Brown, who interviewed Beckham during the program. Goom was seen chatting with the 14-year-old Syrian refugee Mustafa Al-Said about his survival story. Actor Jackie Chan and singer Femi Kuti and Angelique Kidjo were also among the attendees. With that, that's it for now. Stay tuned for more updates of recent current affairs stories here on Television Motives. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful night.